Okay, so in this video, we are looking at if statement. Now, in VB, if statement is pretty simple. Okay, so I'll create a variable int age as integer is equal to nothing. Now, in this program, let me turn on the option straight on. Option straight on. Now, when you have this option straight on, it helps the language to act like how it's supposed to act. Under normal circumstance, you can create a variable of type integer and then you set the value to be string. It will accept. But the moment you turn on the option straight on, the compiler will keep an eye on whatever you do to make sure that you follow the necessary rules. So let me say console dot write line enter age. I want to use this simple project. I want to use this to explain if statement. So we want to save the age. We want to take the age from the user and then save it in a variable we have created. So we have to say read line. Now console.writeLine will display the message. It will output that this is what you have to enter. And then the read line is for what? It's for taking the input. But I said it the last time that whenever you call the read line, the kind of data that will be produced will be of type what? String. And then this particular variable we are trying to store the information in, the data type is integer. So string and integer, they are not compatible. So before it can work, we need to tell the compiler to what? To convert this particular value to a type of what? Integer. And to do that, we say convert dot to int 32, and then you paste it. So you can see the error is gone. This makes sure that it converts your what? Your variable, that is your read line, convert it from string to what? Integer. Now, for exam's sake, it makes sense to always do it like this because Mr. Abeku will never allow you or will not give you marks if you put console.readline for a type of integer. So you make sure to always add your option straight on. And if it's integer, you add a convert dot to int 32. Okay. All right. Let's test this application. So run and enter age. Age is 89. All right. So this is where it ends. Okay. Now we want this to be a voting application. I want to make some check on the age variable. Now, I just want to say check if the person can vote or the person cannot vote. Now we know that the normal voting age is what? Is 18. So what I will say is if age is greater than or equal to 18, then console dot write line you can vote. Very good. Now this is the structure how VB takes it. You see the if keyword, the then keyword, they are const, they are conc, they are always supposed to be there. Now what comes in between the if and then the then is what you call your what? Your condition. We are trying to compare the variable or the value of age to 18. We are trying to see if whatever the user will type is greater than or equal to 18. If we check and it's indeed true, this is what the user will see on the screen. So please, if statement, they deals with condition. They works with what? Condition. So you always have to put your condition there and then you run it. As far as the condition is true, the code you have within the what? Within the if will run. If the condition is not true, you are not going to see anything. So let's test this. Enter age. Age is 89. You see, you can vote is displayed. The moment we type 89, let's substitute 89 here. Is 89 greater than or equal to 18? Yes. So as a result, the condition here returns what? True. And because the condition is true, the code within the block will what? Will execute. That was how come we saw what? We saw you can vote on the screen. same way, run the program, and then instead of typing 18, I'll type 8. We run it, and then nothing happens. So this is what happened. Let's substitute the 8 we entered here. Is 8 greater than or equal to 18? No. So because 8 is not greater than or equal to 18, it means the condition what? Return false, or this condition failed. Now with if statement, whenever the condition fails, it will not execute the block within it. Okay. So this is the if statement. Now it has some blocks. So let's go ahead and look at all the possible blocks. Now, what if we've been asked to make the program in such a way that if the person can vote, it should alert the person that he can vote. If the person cannot vote, the program should let the person know that you can't vote. How do we do that? So what you can do is, right after all the lines of code you want to write, you go inside and then you add else. Console.write line. You cannot vote. Very good. So this is two things we have here. Now, code are read from top to bottom. So when it checks the first condition and it fails, it will execute you cannot vote. If you check the condition here and it's true, compiler will execute you can vote without coming to the the else. So if and then else. If the condition is true, perform the action that is specified by the programmer. If you check the condition and it's not true, there's no need to execute or no need to run the instruction. Just skip and then go to the else. So that's how the if and then else works. So run the program again, enter age, 18. So 18 is what? You can vote because the condition was true here. We try it again, enter age, 89. You can vote. Okay, yes, 89 you can vote. That's fine. We want to make it 6. You cannot vote. So 6, you realize you cannot vote. So this is how VB takes it. It will have the if that checks for the main condition, and if it's false, it jumps to the else. If it checks and it's true, then the if statement, the code you have inside it, is going to execute. Okay. Now there are some situations, or sometimes we can be asked to do multiple conditions. What I have here is just one condition check. Now you look at this one, you can see we are checking for one condition. There's no other condition again. Okay. Sometimes the logic of your program will require that you have more than one condition. Let's say for us to even start checking if the person can vote or not, we want to validate to make sure maybe the input or the number received is not maybe less than 0, it's not negative, that kind of validation. Okay, so let's add that check to make sure we are not accepting negatives as part of we are not accepting negative as part of the needed age value. So let me change this one a bit. So if age is less than 0, console.write line, age cannot be negative. Else if age is greater than 200, console.write then last one, else if okay, so that's fine. Now this application, we have modified our if else. Okay, so if statement is very powerful. Now look at what we are doing. This is the main condition we are checking. Now the else ifs that you are seeing, we call them sub conditions. Okay, so in every if statement, if you are going to check for a lot of conditions, you always have the first main condition. This is the main condition. The first one is always the main condition, and it starts with if. Now, if after the first condition you want to add another sub condition, then you have to use what we call the else if. It means if the first one fails, come and then what? Make a check. So if I execute the program, the user will enter the age and then the program will run. It will start by checking this condition if it's true. So if it checks and then the condition here is not true but is false, then it will not accept it. It will move on to the what? The next else if to check if it has a true condition. It checks this one and then the condition is false too. It moves on to the next available condition. So if upon checking, you realize that this condition here is true, then it's going to display what? You can vote. And that will be it. It will not come down to check again. So of all these conditions, only one block execute at a time. When it checks and the whole thing is false, everything fails, program will now what? Execute the else. So else block comes in when all the condition fails. When the main condition and all the sub conditions you have, if all of them are failing, then the program will have no option than to resort to the else block. If it checks and then at least one is true, the particular one that is true, 8th block is what is going to what? Execute. So let's run and see. Now enter age. My age is -9. You can see age cannot be negative. So for the first time, it was this side that was true. So it will show you age cannot be negative. And then that will be the full stop. It will not check the rest again. We try again. My age is 500. And then it says age cannot exceed 200. That is the second condition here. We try again and then we type something like 16. It says you cannot what? Vote. Okay. So this is the structure of if else. You can go more. After the first if you have more conditions to specify, there's no limitation. You can what? Go ahead and then specify your sub conditions. Else block, keep in mind, this is what will be displayed or will execute when all the conditions, if all of them fails. Okay, so that is it about if statement. I'll try and then give you practical questions so that you can familiarize yourself with this concept. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.